Do you want to talk about different experiences, the behind the In The Pews?
Oh, sure.
All right.
Sure.
So you started with Father Joseph.
Deacon Joseph at the time.
Yeah, and I believe, the first time you interviewed, he was deacon.
Oh, that was a great interview. I mean, he and I clicked right away.
Mm-hmm.
He's got that personality. That one, yeah. He and I, it's a great story.
Yeah.
He really opened up. That was the thing I love about that one.
Okay, and I know you've interviewed all the clerics from St. Faustina.
Yes.
And the new priest classes.
Are we going to go one by one through each of them?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Next one was Deacon Ray.
Deacon Ray. Oh, if anyone wants to know about what a deacon does and how to become a deacon, Deacon Ray laid it all down there.
Yeah, he did.
Anything about being a deacon, he laid it all out. That was the great thing about that.
And he's also just hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
It's just great. Okay.
Who's next?
And then you brought Father David Michael.
Father David Michael, yes. Oh, Father David Michael, because that started our Herm, Father David Michael and I, we always talk about gear. You know, audio gear, video gear.
Because he's really into this too.
Oh, yeah.
He has a YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. So that started a relationship between the three of us where we, like, even during the pandemic, we'd have regular Zoom meetings where we just talk about gear. When he had something to ask about, hey, I'm having problems with this. We'd talk
awesome.
like problems to get rid of, noise in the audio. What can I do? Or lighting, cameras, all of that. He would talk to us about that. I love that interview. My favorite part was when he was talking about when he broke up with his girlfriend to enter the seminary. And as a joke, I said, did she say, can't you just become a deacon? And that one, he goes, great job, Rudy. That's exactly what she said. You could see the embarrassment kind of in his face.
He's like, I didn't want to go there.
I know. That's one thing I remember about that interview.
Okay. And you've mentioned a story in passing.
What's that?
About him. What does he do when he walks into the room?
His second interview. Yes, his second interview, we had upgraded some of our equipment. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, we had, we had some older equipment. We just kind of scraped together what we could.
Yeah.
During the first few interviews. But when he came back again, he looks at these mics and he goes, ooh, new headphones? New mic? Why am I surprised? That is so Father David Michael.
Yep.
Yeah, his second interview. Oh, yeah.
Nice. Okay, then you got, at the time, Deacon Houston.
Deacon Houston. Oh, that's kind of embarrassing. My hair was sticking up here the entire time during the interview. And I made the mistake of wearing red when I knew my background was going to be red. So, yeah. And then Herm was also experimenting with the lighting. Father Deacon Houston at the time came early, and it rattled us. So we weren't completely set up. And yeah, so you'll see
he's an on time.
Through the course, well, he was early, not just on time. He was early, so we kind of got rattled. We can't keep him waiting. Deacon Houston's here. So what happened was, and we didn't have the checklist that we go through before the interview. Now we have a checklist,
Very official now.
Systems go, ready to go, check, go. You know how they do that in NASA, right? Yeah. But anyway, yeah, we didn't have that at the time. So through the course of the interview, you'll see slowly the lighting gets fixed. Unfortunately, my hair doesn't go down. It's just sticking up in the back the entire time. Yeah.
Hey, that works out.
The thing I love about that interview was when he imitates his parents. Because as a Filipino American, I can't count the number of times I've imitated my parents. The accent. And he imitates how his parents were mad when
he told them
that he was entering seminary.
Yeah.
So I so relate to him imitating his parents.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I think because myself also an immigrant, we see it.
Yeah. I love the Nigerian accent. I can't say how many times, after watching Black Panther, I'd walk around and say, as you can see, I am not dead. I love that. I also worked with a teacher who was from Cameroon. So I love that accent.
It's a great accent. It's beautiful. Okay, and then you interviewed the one, the only, Katie Villarreal.
Oh, Katie. Oh, her energy. The energy that she has.
She's great.
I thought I talked a lot and I thought I talked quickly. I thought I had a lot of energy. No. So that interview, I just had to sit back and just let her do her thing.
We're very blessed to have her as a youth minister.
Oh,
Faustina.
yes.
Okay.
Who's
and
next?
then Sister Symphony.
Sister Symphony. Oh, she was so shy. She's like, I hate to say it, but she's so adorable. You want to kind of pinch her cheeks. See? And she was
I love that. One day she'll see this. She'll be like,
yeah.
Go got interviewed and they want to pinch my cheeks.
She was so nervous before it started. I said, no, you're going to be fine. She was so shy. But yeah, I love Sister Symphony.
No, she's so good. Okay, and then you interviewed Monsignor Borski.
Monsignor Borski was an amazing interview.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the life that he has lived.
Yeah.
When people ask me about great interviews, him being in the seminary during Vatican II, and as a young priest while they were implementing everything, his perspective on that is amazing.
So much different than anyone else.
He talked about what things were like during Martin Luther King, civil rights movement, John F. Kennedy's assassination, all of that. He lived through all of that. Amazing interview.
Yeah. It really does give you a different perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Then you interviewed Carlos.
Carlos, my man Carlos. Oh, that's another guy with a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy's awesome.
He's great.
Carlos.
And then you interviewed our pastor,
Father Dad. Yes, that one was a tough one to schedule because you know how pastors are just so busy.
Yeah.
So busy. So we had to lock down one day that we could get him to tell his story.
Yeah.
But the thing,
because this is long.
It's a long story. It was such a long interview that we had to break it up into two parts.
Mm-hmm.
The first part was just his immigrant experience. Oh, no, excuse me. The first part was his refugee experience. And that is just an amazing story. And we had to break for lunch after because it was such a long interview. But it was great because it was really detailed. And, you know, Father Dad, the way he talks is he tells every story as if it's a mini homily.
Yeah.
So there's a little reflection that he talks about after each story. So he talks about his whole immigrant experience. Excuse me, I keep saying immigrant experience. But his whole refugee experience from his father being tortured since he worked with the Americans, to them being put on a boat at the age of 8 years old without the parents. Oh, amazing. Yeah. And then the second half was part 2 was his immigrant experience and joining seminary.
Yeah.
And then it was such a long, in-depth interview. If you want to get to know Father Dad, that's the interview to watch. It was such a long and in-depth interview, we couldn't even finish. It was almost time for Holy Hour. So we had to cut the interview short and we had to say, Father Dad, we got to get you back again for a part 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was an amazing interview.
And you did get part 3, didn't you?
We eventually did, but it was a few months later, I believe, to get him to talk mainly about priesthood and St. Faustina.
Starting the parish.
That was part 3. Yeah.
And then you had Antonio Castillo.
Antonio, my brother. Antonio,
also wore his axe shirt.
Yes. He inspired me to wear this one, to wear my axe shirt because he wore his axe shirt. Yeah, amazing interview, what he has been through. Mm. And I didn't know, like I said, I didn't know what he was going through when we were on that bus together to go on the axe retreat. And then even what he went through during the pandemic. Yeah. The guy's almost died how many times?
Too many. Too many. He needs to stop.
That man is a walking miracle.
Yeah.
Walking miracle.
It really is.
But then, I know I'm fast forwarding, but when we talk about his son, Tony, that story, the parallel between father and son, God bless his wife, Nancy.
Yeah. No, it's been a gift, obviously, like.
Everything she's been through. Yeah. Her father, her husband and her son, all both going through crazy things at the same time.
But look at where they're at now.
Oh, gosh.
Like, I love talking, because I saw it. I was friends with Tony.
Yeah.
And so being with him through the change, through everything, and then hearing him talk about it in his interview was a gift. Like,
amazing.
And right, it's what you talk about, like the gift of getting to hear it, because it's like one of those stories that I'm like, you need to share this.
Yeah.
And it's just been.
Oh, I had no idea. Speaking of Antonio and Tony, so Antonio, I'd been close with him for for a long time while here at St. Faustina. Now Herm, because of his work schedule, he can't serve as much as he used to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we got Antonio in for the interview, Herm said there's something different about him than before.
Wow.
He could see the change that Antonio had gone through before and after the Acts retreat.
Wow.
Me, I didn't really notice it because I was walking with him and I was changing with him.
Yeah.
So it was too gradual for me to notice. But Herm said, wow, there's something different about Antonio. And Tony, I'd noticed during Father David Michael's concert, I said, there's something different about Tony.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was. I said, there's something different. So when we got him in for an interview, it was Joel who had recommended Tony. He said, Tony's been on I was like, really?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll schedule Tony. I had no idea what he'd been going through.
Mm-hmm.
So when we got him on for the interview, there's something different about him.
And he was, and props to being so raw and honest.
Oh,
like he laid it all out.
Oh gosh.
He laid it all out.
And one more thing about Tony and Herm and I. So we get Tony in to be interviewed. It was in a different cry room, but we get him into that cry room and we start setting up. Herm starts fixing the cameras and everything. And Tony said, oh, I forgot my water in the car. Let me go and get my water from the car. So he goes to the car. Both Herm and I were like, this dude is handsome. This is a handsome guy. You know? Wow.
I can't wait for him to hear this. I think it's good to acknowledge God's creations.
I mean, both of his parents are great looking people.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And his sister's beautiful.
Oh yeah.
It's just a beautiful family and what they've been through, and they use it all to glorify God. So
yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then you brought Dodie in?
Dodie. Oh, that was a tough interview because she, you know, all that she's been through with the suicide of her son. That was a hard one. We knew her story, and that was a tough interview because I didn't know how to. I'm not even sure if I had addressed it the right way during the interview. Wow. But yeah, that was an amazing story. I still remember one day during mass, where they say the intentions of the mass, and all of a sudden Dodie starts crying. I was like, "What happened?" She said, "It's my son." Wow. His name is my son. Oh, gosh, my heart goes out to Dodie. Everything she's been through.
That's so hard. And then you interviewed Pitcher and Marie.
Oh, the great thing about that interview, aside from all the stuff that they've been through, that was you usually see Pitcher as an acolyte and Marie in the choir, right? But to get to see them together and the dynamic of the two of them together and some of their, the nonverbal things when they look at each other.
They're so cute.
As a couple, oh, I love them. Everything that they've been through. Wow.
I love their story. Like,
I know.
And even just getting to know them, I got to know Pitcher right when the parish opened up again after COVID.
Yeah.
We were coming all the time, right? And he was here. I think he was kind of the main acolyte for daily mass every day. And just and the way he talks about his wife and his kids is the most beautiful thing.
Oh.
And it's just like, that's a Catholic husband. Like, that's what it's meant to be.
And with Pitcher and Marie too, it's just, there was one healing mass that we had done. And I remember this was years ago. And during the mass, I could hear her wailing. Had no idea what she was going through. It was only years later when we interviewed her did we realize what she had been going through, the weight that she had been carrying. It gives me chills just thinking about it.
Wow, what a gift. Okay, and then you interviewed Father Ricardo.
Oh, I love Father Ricardo. Such a great guy. Yeah. His story, amazing. And speaking of Father Ricardo and St. Bart's, they have been so helpful when it comes to In the Pews. Because here at St. Faustina, it's a new parish. We don't have all of the, facilities. They are so open to letting us use their facilities.
What a gift.
Oh, I walked into there, I'm so envious. Look at all this buildings that they have. Like, we wish we had this stuff at St. Faustina. I know. I just get really envious when I walk into a church that's already built, that already has all the facilities.
Think about it. This just gives us so much to like build. Like I tell Father that like that's so cool. I cannot think of any church. I mean, St. Martha's was built fairly recent. Like we were, but I obviously didn't know any of that. But we're gonna see it built from
I
scratch.
know. It's amazing.
From a high school, an elementary school gym. Like
Yeah.
I'm excited. The day we have a church, like that's gonna be.
Yeah, it's
But
gonna be amazing.
The journey's the like cool part.
I remember that very first Ash Wednesday Mass in that tiny community center. The parking was crazy. We had no idea which way the communion line was going to go. It was a mess. And we were all, shoulder to shoulder like sardines. And Father Dad says, remember these times, because when we have our own home, you'll look back at this and, fondly.
And we do.
Yeah, we do.
And then you interviewed at the time the pastor, Father Christopher.
Father Christopher, yes. Yeah. Like I said, St. Bart. They've been so accommodating to us. I mean, I regret that we have not been able to. He's not there anymore, but he wanted to kind of pick our brains when it comes to his podcast, Conversing Clergy. But we just never got the schedule together since our busy schedule, his busy schedule. Yeah, Father Christopher.
Yeah, awesome. And then Matthew, you interviewed Matthew.
Matt Ty. Yes. Oh, yeah. We wanted to find somebody who had been through seminary and who had left seminary, but it was a good discern out.
Yeah.
And so we'd asked Father Ricardo, is there a guy that that left seminary, but it was good? It made him a better man, a better father, even though he didn't eventually become a priest. And that was Matt Ty.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I mean, I love the witness, and it's what I always tell as a youth minister, my students that are considering the priesthood or religious life. I'm like, going to seminary, you don't waste your time. Like, the worst outcome is growing closer to God. Like, I don't think that's bad.
And he had discerned out twice.
Yeah.
And
and I love it because he said it, like, it's made him who he is today.
Yeah.
I love that. And then you got to bring Father Houston back as a priest.
Father Houston, yes. Oh, yes. That was a great one. That was the first one where we got somebody after they were just freshly ordained. Just to see how his parents had gone from not wanting him to enter seminary to being part of the parish pastoral council. Amazing. And how the support of the Nigerian community here in Houston, like during his ordination, the roar every time he hugged a Nigerian priest. Oh, that was amazing.
Oh, and then his first mass. I was there and it was just like the whole Nigerian community. I stuck out like a sore thumb.
Oh,
it was beautiful.
Oh, and one thing about that interview was we kind of had to rush that one because he had the emergency phone on him.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was ringing and we were like, okay, let's...
It
seems like it's always a rush with Father Houston, but both interviews fantastic.
That's amazing,
Father Houston.
And so you brought Father Houston, and you got to bring his whole class. So you brought Father Joseph White, Father Chad Henry, and Father Wayne.
Yeah, so Father Joseph after coming back from the Vatican. Yeah, oh, I love Father Joseph. Oh yeah, and then who was after Father Houston? Father Joseph.
And then you had Father Chad.
Father Chad, what a character!
He's hilarious.
The thing is, during that interview, he was a little more formal. I didn't realize how goofy he could be until afterwards.
Oh, he's so goofy.
But it was a great interview. But I'd wish I'd known how goofy he could be.
To get out of him. And then
after Father Chad was.
Then you had Father Wayne.
Father Wayne. Now he's very different. His personality it's a lot more formal than everyone else that we'd had on the show. So that was a different dynamic altogether with Father Wayne.
But that's awesome to have so many different personalities.
Yes, yeah. He really added a different flavor to the interview.
Yeah. Okay, and then in between all of those, you had part 3 with Father Dad.
Father Dad, yeah, part 3. We finally got him. You can see how many interviews it'd been. Yeah. That interview had been postponed several times.
Yeah.
With Father Dad, yeah.
And then you brought Father Charles.
Married priest.
Yes.
Yes, Father Chuck Huff, yes. So he was a former Episcopalian priest who converted to Catholicism and decided to go through seminary to become a Catholic priest. Yeah. So he and his son were the first father-son Catholic priests to be ordained together in like over 1,000 years.
That's incredible.
It's an incredible story.
It's insane.
Yeah, Father Chuck. Yeah, we love him.
And then you brought our pastoral year seminarian, Luis Armas.
Luis, yes. Luis. He was, at the time, he was, with the big beard and everything.
Big beard.
The big teddy bear, yeah. Or a big panda bear, yeah. Luis. I love Luis. He's
great.
Awesome, yeah.
And then you had Daniela and Caroline.
Yes. Oh, that one it was tough to schedule both of them together.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about that interview was we didn't have like a great backdrop because it was just so tough. We had to make that happen. Mm-hmm. So it's like, let's just do it in a classroom because we got to get you all together. And that was such a fun interview.
They're fun.
You're actually I think you're wearing the shirt that I was wearing during that interview. It's a lot tighter on me than it is on you, I'll tell you. I was so thankful. I was like, thank God I have this desk because I'm like a sausage down here. It was, but that was a really fun interview. I can't wait to get them again. Maybe they'll do it individually this time.
They're amazing. And their story is great.
Yeah, I want to get them on the show again. Definitely. Such a, yeah. I mean, that interview kind of shows you like, you can, a lot of the other interviews as well, but you can be a fun person and still discern religious life.
Yep.
I love that interview.
And then you had Claudia and Sean.
Oh, yes. Yes, my ex-brother and sister. They were with us at Epiphany, and they were also a couple that moved to St. Faustina. And their story is amazing because they had walked into an abortion clinic to abort their eldest daughter.
Wow.
And something told them not to.
What a gift.
That is an amazing story.
Huge testimony.
Amazing story.
And then you had Father David Michael back for part 2.
Part 2. That was the beatboxing one. Yes, that was the beatboxing interview. Father David Michael. We love Father David Michael. Of course, before and after the interview, we're talking gear.
Love it. And then you had, at the time, Deacon Christopher.
Yes. Oh, wow. I mean, that was another one of those interviews where we just clicked.
Yeah.
Like you could see his personality really well during that interview. And that was the interview where we found out that Father Chad was such a character.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because he told a whole bunch of Father Chad story. Yeah. I'm like, what? He didn't tell all these stories?
No, Father Chad is a character. He's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
And then you brought Gabe Castillo.
Gabe. Oh, yeah. Wow. That guy. I mean, you can't describe what Gabe's like. You just can't.
Yeah.
You have to meet him to see what he's like.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And I feel like he's so different in person than he is online, but then he's also the same person. Like, I don't know how it can be so, when I met Gabe, I was like, he is so different than he is online. And then at the same time, I'm like, he's the exact same person.
When we got Gabe in, we're like, we've got to get more youth ministers in. Youth ministers are amazing. It's not just Katie who's like that. I was like, we got to get more youth ministers after we got Gabe on. Yeah.
Yeah. No, fantastic. He's so good.
And he's been, I'm so thankful that he's been so supportive of In The Pews because he has a huge following. And every now and again, he'll plug In The Pews and then we'll see a spike in, subscribers. Yeah.
No, he's
so thankful for Gabe.
Yeah. And just his mission and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then you brought Sister Symphony back in.
Yes, because she was taking her final vows. Mm-hmm. And that was, wow, just an amazing experience to talk to her about her, what she'd done. Because she'd been all over the world since we had talking to her. Yeah, she'd been, different continents, having so many great different experiences. And just talking to her about making those final vows. Just amazing.
That's amazing. And then we talked a little bit about him already, but you had Tony in.
Tony, yes. Oh, I mean, I talked to his dad, Antonio, about how he just laid it all out there for the world to see. Yeah. This is my brokenness. This is what I struggled with. And his interview is part of the reason why I have the courage to come here and tell my story. Because of his courage to tell his story and to lay it down.
I love it.
For everyone to see, yeah.
And then you had Joelma from the Vocations Office.
Oh, that was a very interesting interview because technically we had issues with sound.
Oh,
We were
wow.
downtown and we had a lot of noise,
Mm.
and it was a godsend that we found this like artificial intelligence plugin that could get rid of all that noise. It's amazing. If I let you listen to
Yeah,
the
'cause-
samples before and after, amazing.
Yeah, because as a viewer, I couldn't.
Yeah, you don't notice that.
Mm-mm.
But then about the interview itself, wow. Because I had no idea what a consecrated woman is.
Yeah.
I had no idea what the focolare is. I totally 100% ignorant about that. And I had no idea if they existed.
Yeah.
You know, somebody told me focolare. I before that, I'd
You're
be like, yes, is that part of the Illuminati? You know, because I had no idea. No idea whatsoever. Completely ignorant.
What a gift.
Yeah.
And then you had Keenan Anikiariko.
Keenan Anikiariko. When you say Anikiariko, you have to use the hands. Yeah, that was. I thought he was Greek because of the name, but yeah, Anikiariko is Italian. That guy. Oh, what a story! What a story. Keenan. Yeah, great.
Talk about
great
a
guy.
reversion.
He was recommended by Gabe for sure. Gabe has thrown a few people our way.
Not shocked at all.
That yeah.
Nice.
Great guy.
And then you got to interview at the time Deacon Jacob and Deacon Luis.
Yes. So Deacon Jacob, yeah, I feel bad that I kind of talked about that prank that Father Chad pulled on him when they were in the seminary together. If you watch that interview, you see the reaction on his face. I think he's trying to hold it together because I think he's still kind of mad about that prank until today. I was like, yep.
Yeah, he did that.
Great guy though. And then
I thought it was a great prank from the outside.
And then after Father Jacob, then Deacon, who did we have after that?
Deacon Luis Garcia.
Oh yes. Wow, what a gentle giant.
Mm-hmm.
Huge guy, big, you'd think he'd have this huge gigantic personality, but such a gentle giant. And watch after his ordination, I saw the stream of his mass in Mexico. I couldn't understand what they're saying because I don't speak Spanish. I learned some Spanish when I was in the Philippines because our university required it, but I was still learning Filipino at the time. So I got confused between Spanish and
You're
Filipino.
like, I can't learn two languages at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, one class I have to have a C and the other class I can do better. But anyway, yeah, watching that interview was just, watching that mass.
Yeah.
Was so moving. So moving. Bring you to tears. Him and his grandparents. And fantastic.
Yeah, what a gift. Okay, and then you had Sister Catherine from the Vietnamese Dominicans.
Yes, Joelma recommended her.
She's
hilarious. She could show you that you don't have to be stiff and boring to be a religious sister.
Yep.
You can have a big personality. You can be a quick talker. Oh, yes.
Oh, she's hilarious.
I love her. That was a great interview.
And then you had the Father Richard McNeely from the vocations office again.
Yeah, Mr. Handsome. That's all I can say. I remember the first time he said mass here at St. Faustina. My wife goes, "Wow, that's a handsome priest."
Wow.
Can't believe I'm jealous of a priest right now.
Does he know that you call him Mr. Handsome?
Oh, yeah. I told him during the interview. When we started out the interview, I said I had to get a haircut. I had to lose a little weight because I know I'm going to share the screen with Father Richard.
That's hilarious.
And I think the cool thing about that interview, too, is we sat down long enough for you to really get to know him. And even his mannerisms and his speech pattern, they're very unique.
Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite is, yeah, it's not good. He said that. And that is so Father Richard.
That's amazing. And then you had Brianne.
Brianne, what a story. She was a really troubled youth. She had gone through all of the really tough things that the youth go through. Everything from drugs, alcohol, self-harm, porn addiction. Like she is also an inspiration for me to sit down here today. Her interview, just like Tony, laid it all out. This is how broken I was, and this is how God has healed me. And for her to go from that to becoming a youth minister, amazing.
And she came, I think it was before she became a youth minister at St. Bart's. She came as one of the speakers at St. Faustina for Zion.
Gosh. Yeah.
And I remember being here for that talk, and it was amazing.
And, when you see her walk in with all the tattoos and everything, but then, just how holy she is.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Such a gift.
Amazing.
And then you had Claire.
Claire, yes. Wow. Yes, of course, another great recommendation from Gabriel.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. God bless her, Claire.
Yeah, she's so good. She's so good. And then you had Frater Giovanni.
Frater Giovanni, yes. Another Gabe recommendation as well. That was amazing to see how that was the first time we had somebody who lives that kind of monastic lifestyle. So I said it was a very welcome change to the show because the way he spoke was, you could tell he lives a very contemplative lifestyle. So he spoke very softly. He was very deliberate, very well thought out the way he speaks. And then when I talked to Father Christopher about it, he said, oh, you should have seen him before. He was a fast talker. He was a mover and shaker.
Wow.
But, the way he's changed as, after joining the Norbertines. Yeah.
And then you had, talking about Father Christopher, you brought him back as a priest, as our parochial vicar.
Yes, we kind of knew that he was going to be the parochial vicar here at St. Faustina. Everybody had a feeling. He was he was the number one bet, the odds-on favorite to come here to St. Faustina. So we had to get him in to talk about his, his ordination and about St. Faustina and about picking up the torch after Father David. Because Father David Michael's a tough act to follow. And I think Father Christopher has done it really well.
Yeah. And I love it because he's him. He doesn't try to be anyone else.
Yes. The way he is in the interview, that's the way he is in real life.
Yep. And he is a gift to our parish. And then Father Preston.
Father Preston. Oh, yeah. There was no way I could lose enough weight to look good on camera next to Father Preston. Father Preston is an amazing story because of just him giving up his dream job to enter seminary. Basketball, football coach, athlete, him thinking he's going to leave it all behind to become a priest, and he gave it all up. And then he becomes a coach of a winning team as a Catholic priest. Oh, that's amazing. And then, of course, like I said, trying to look good on camera with him.
And then also, talking about earlier how God uses your gifts.
Uses your gifts. Exactly.
Wants to use it.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's so funny when we were interviewing Father Preston, we're like, Father Preston, what's your exercise regimen? And he said, oh, it's just, it's nothing, right? Yeah, I'm just flipping tires, just carrying weights, jogging. Like, really?
It's nothing.
Well, it's nothing, And like, what do you think is a lot, Father Preston?
I don't know. Don't want to try.
Here I am, just letting myself go, and Father Preston's there. Like,
yeah.
And speaking of Father Preston, during one of the ordinations, so we're there and we watch Father Preston, with all the line of priests, and I see Father Preston. I'm like, this is a good looking priest, right? And my wife turns over to me and she goes, that's a good looking priest. Because he's not just handsome, but he's also really fit too. Yeah. Oh, wow.
And then you had my pastor, Father TJ.
Father TJ, what a personality. That guy, he's a huge personality. I love Father TJ. Oh, there's nothing I can say. You just have to watch that interview with Father TJ.
His love for sports.
Oh, yes. Oh, he and Father Christopher Meyer, before and after the interviews, just talking sports with Herm. Like and whenever we see each other again, like sports.
I love that.
And you can be a sports lover and a priest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's good. And I see it when we go to our school masses and he uses the sports analogies and the kids get exactly what he meant. Yeah. What he means.
Like how he said in the interview, modern day parable sports.
Yeah. I love that. And then you had your most recent interview, Joel.
Joel, yes. Joel. How his mom says Joel. Joel, that's an amazing story as well.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, Herm and I are both Filipino Americans. And up until that point, we had not had a Filipino on the show. So Joel is our groundbreaker.
Groundbreaker. First one.
Yes.
Nice.
We're so excited to see what his, what his career is going to be like.
Yeah, where life takes him. And then me.
Yes. So I mean, you and I, we just clicked on, and
It was fun.
yeah, and you were the one who bugged me the most about being interviewed.
Well, you have to tell your story. I was like, I don't know your story. I want to know your story.
Yeah, so here I am laying it out, just like Tony and Brienne and all the other guests laying out their woundedness here for everyone to see. Yeah.
Yeah.